In addition to the activities section, the Common App also has an awards section where you can list any of the distinctions you've received throughout high school. In my experience, students might find the awards section a little difficult to tackle because the idea of an award can seem pretty daunting at first. So today I'll be sharing my advice on how to fill out the awards section of the Common App. Just a disclaimer, I am just some guy on the internet, and everything I say really comes from my own opinion and my experiences, so it may not necessarily be the most objective truth, so just take that all with a grain of salt as we get into things. In comparison to the activities section, the awards section is a lot more simple. Here you have slots for 5 different awards that you can fill out, and for each one you'll be putting down the name of the award, the level of the award, so whether it's a school level award, a regional level award, a state level award, a national level award, or an international level award. And you'll also check off which year you received it, so 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th grade. In terms of which awards to pick for this list, I would recommend picking the ones that are obviously the coolest and most recent, but I think it would also be good to have a wide range in the kinds of awards you're receiving. So if you have like 7 different math awards that you've received and a couple different awards in other categories, I'd recommend taking maybe a couple from the math awards and then also trying to include the ones from all the different categories, just to show that you have a wide range of skills and that you're not confined to just one specific discipline. And then once you've figured out which awards you're actually going to include in this list, I would recommend ranking them by how cool they are and then also how recent they are. So you want to have the awards that are of a higher level first. So this means that awards that are on international or national level should go first because obviously they're the most impressive, and then awards that are on the school level should maybe go later down in your list. And if you have multiple awards that are on the same level, I would recommend ranking the one that you got most recently first, and the ones that are a bit older second and third and fourth and so on. Something that sets the award section apart from the activity section is that the award section doesn't have a description box where you can talk about how you got the award, what the award is for, and so on. I think this is because in a lot of cases, the awards you'll be getting are pretty self-explanatory. So for things like National Merit Scholarship or an AP Scholar Award or some other academic distinction, I think those things are pretty self-explanatory and are pretty common enough that admissions officers will already be familiar with them. Or in other cases, the awards that somebody gets and puts down in this section come from activities that they might have already mentioned in the activities section. So in the description there, they might have mentioned the fact that they got these awards already. Along the same vein, it's also possible that students might talk about getting these awards in some of their supplemental or maybe even their Common App essay. And if all else fails, meaning that the award you've gotten isn't self-explanatory and you haven't already been able to explain it in another section of your application, you can also try explaining it in the additional information section, which is this little section in the Common App where you have, I think, 650 words to put in any additional information that you think is really important that you haven't been able to explain in other sections of your application already. So if you think that your award really warrants it and it isn't self-explanatory in terms of its description, what you did to get it, what it's for, in that case, it may be beneficial to talk about it a little bit in the additional information section where you can talk a little bit about what the award, what it's for, and how you got it. I would recommend only using the additional information section if you really need it, because having additional content in this additional information section that isn't super necessary means that your admissions officers or whoever's reading your application has more things to read through, and since they already have to read through so much and go through so many applications, it may not give them the best first impression of you if you have all this unnecessary information in this additional information section. So please only use it if you think you absolutely need to. Finally, I think that the biggest worry that students have when they're approaching the awards section is that they're concerned that they don't actually have enough awards to put into this section, and they're not even sure what would count as an award for this section. Sometimes students will come from schools that just gave them a lot of opportunities for awards, like my school did. Since my school was super small, that meant that it was pretty easy for me to get awards because there weren't that many other students I would be competing against. But other students come from much larger schools or even schools where they don't give out awards as often, which means that they don't have as many opportunities to go for those awards. In these cases where you may not have as many awards, obviously your first go-to should be actual official awards, so things like AP Scholar, National Merit Scholarship, or any other distinctions that you have formally received. Then you can go on to more informal distinctions, so things like honor roll and such, where you may not necessarily get a certificate or a plaque, but it's still a distinction nonetheless. And then finally, Although the awards section is typically meant for academic awards, if you have other awards from other settings, maybe from a sport or a club that you think is really impressive and that you haven't already talked about in another section, it might be fine to put it in this award section because it is still an award, and I think it would be better to have something rather than nothing. But overall, I don't think that the awards section is really all too important in the grand scheme of admissions to a school, unless you're applying to really super prestigious, super competitive schools where all the applicants have a wide range of awards. But holistic admissions is a thing that most schools subscribe to, so even if you don't have a whole lot of awards to put under this section, if your other sections of your application are really well put together and look really cohesive, then you should be all set to go anyways. So the moral of the story is that in terms of the awards section, you should fill it out to the best of your ability and put as much stuff as you can on there. But if you can't fill it out all the way, it's really not that big of a deal. Alright, this has been an overview of the awards section of the Common App. Hopefully this helps you as you're approaching this section for your own application. And to everyone who is applying to colleges this year, I wish you the best of luck. And finally, if you're curious as to what I put for my own awards section, you can check out this video here in the corner. And if you're interested in advice on how to fill out the activity section of the Common App, you can check out this video here, or feel free to check out any of the other videos that I have on my channel.